Welcome. We're glad you're joining us. I'm Dave Moyer.
And I'm Paul Aiken.
And we're from Drone U. This is the first of what will be a series of 4 really transformational videos for you. If you have any interest whatsoever in drones, dial in today and the next 3 days, and you will not be the same. We give you that assurance.
This is going to be some pretty life-changing material here, Dave. I mean, some of our students have said, wow, I wish I had this material when I first bought my drone. I would have saved thousands of dollars. So what are we going to give them today?
Well, today we're going to focus on the dreaded 3 letters that strikes fear to the hearts of most drone pilots. And what are those, Paul?
Are you talking about the FAA?
You bet. Think about it. Everybody is hearing all the stuff that's coming out of Washington about what is the FAA going to do about drones. You know, they've been working on this for what, how long now?
I don't know, but did you know that drones have actually been around longer than the FAA has been around?
Well, the point is, the cat's out of the bag. Drones are here. They're already being used extensively. There is no way to stuff all this back in the jar. So the FAA is left trying their best to sort of build some kind of guidelines around this.
I think they're actually losing the race because now we're the last country on the continent to actually have rules for micro UAS. But a lot of guys have the question out there, Dave, is the FAA coming after me?
Well, and that's an important question to answer. Our answer to you is, if you're following some good common sense rules, which we're going to discuss in a minute here, you probably have absolutely nothing to fear as far as the FAA is concerned.
That's right.
So let's start with defining a few of those basic common sense operational rules that you need to keep the FAA completely out of your life. Paul, what have you learned about this?
Well, you know, Dave, I've learned a lot through case law, and here at Drone U, we've had this amazing opportunity to work with lawyers, work with a lot of pilots out there, and also work with government officials. Even I've flown under the FAA supervision in a COA up in Denver. But the one thing a lot of people ask me is, Paul, is the FAA coming after me? And the answer is actually no. Unless you're flying over people, I mean directly flying over people. You're not following some of the professionalism standards that we're going to talk about here. But also people say, well, Paul, what proof do we have that the FAA is not coming after me? Well, Dave, did you know last year in October, there was a document put out by the FAA executives that actually told the FAA inspectors, which is a part of FSDO, saying do not go after any drone operators whatsoever unless they're posing a medium to high risk of public safety or manned aircraft. So we actually have the documents in writing saying that they're not coming after you unless you fly directly over people, you cause someone harm, or you're flying in a place you shouldn't be, like a TFR. So it's really been a big question. And you know, another thing, Dave,
What?
How many people have actually been fined for flying drones commercially?
How many, Paul?
0.
You know, you may think, who are we? Who are we to speak to this? Well, folks, we are the Drone U community. And that community is a group of like-minded pilots. Paul is our chief pilot. And we have been working actively and actually running businesses in drones for years now. And one of the things that we've had to do is to make sure that we can operate in cooperation with what the FAA expects, as well as good, basic, solid fundamentals that make sure that you're going to keep yourself out of trouble. Paul talked about number 1 a minute ago, which is don't fly directly over a crowd. What are some of the other basic guidelines, Paul, people should be using?
Well, you know, and I want to say, Dave, we do advocate for clear rules, but frankly, there aren't any right now. So as long as we don't fly over people, we don't fly within 1.5 miles of an airport, and we notify air traffic control if we do have to fly near an airport, frankly, you're going to be okay.
Just the other day, Paul was invited to come out and fly his drone and do videography at the opening of the local baseball team's season. Paul, that was pretty close to the airport. What did you do?
It was actually within 1/2 mile of the airport, and this again comes down to all of our legalities information that we have inside of this coursework. But essentially, you have to notify air traffic control. There are certain things that you have to tell them, but if you give them all of those pieces of information, for example, your heading, your direction, your elevation, they can't say no to you. You don't actually have to ask for permission. You just have to notify them and give them specific pieces of information.
Folks, did you hear that? It's not about getting down on one knee and begging for the FAA's permission. It's about phrasing your description to them in the proper kind of languages and then staying within those guidelines while you're performing your maneuvers.
That's right. That's right. And it's so simple, Dave. You know, I have to tell you, when I was flying over that baseball stadium, again, never flying over people, flying around the outside, because even recently, you know, people have heard me say this and they say, well, Paul, I came out with this video and I was flying over a concert. And it's like, wait a minute, you're flying over a concert? And he's like, yeah, but we had permission from every single person there. They knew a drone was flying over them. Well, I hate to break it to that guy, but it's still illegal. And that will actually cause you to get in trouble with the FAA. Remember, the FAA is only sanctioned to do two things: create guidelines for the national airspace system and create safety regulations for the national airspace system.
Recently, Paul was invited to go to Pittsburgh and film the marathon that they have that runs throughout downtown. Now, Paul, in that instance, you knew you had to have an interface with the FAA. You knew there were going to be large crowds of people. How did you handle that event?
You just never fly over people, Dave. So, one of the shots that they wanted was everyone lining up right until the gate, and essentially I flew in front of them. So as they were pulling out of the gate, I was reversing and elevating at the same time, so that once they did finally get where they were under me, I was already pulled out to the side and over building. So if anything would have happened, I would have crashed and hit a rooftop. That's about it.
In this first video, as we mentioned earlier, we want to talk to you about how can you fly in such a way as not to get into trouble with the FAA, and what are some of the common sense guidelines that you need to adhere to. If you do these things, again, you should feel confident that your flying is permissible, it is allowable, and it is something that you can do without that fear that all of a sudden you're going to get shut down by Big Brother or some government agency.
And the other thing that's important about this, Dave, is that you can take that imagination of flight, that feeling that it's like you're unraveling your freedom, Dave. I don't even know how to explain it, but you can turn that passion into a profit, whether it's a side job or whether it's something that you want to turn into full time. What we're going to tell you is going to give you the tools and the information to turn that passion into profit.
Now, we are a lot like you. I mean, at one point we're where many of you are right now, which is that we were feeling our way along this path, trying to learn what can we do and what can we do properly and legally so we don't get into trouble. It's not like you were born knowing this stuff. You had to learn this process. But what we're doing today is giving you a shortcut to get there that much faster. That's what our drone community is all about. It's about sharing these ideas, tips, tricks, advice, insight, and experience that allows drone pilots to move much faster through the learning curve to be very successful.
And Dave, you hit the nail on the head there. There are so many nuances in this. You have to know flying really well. You have to know systems engineering really well. You have to know photography really well. You have to know videography really well. And you have to understand the differences in camera sensors as well as the RF signals and bands and where you can go and what you can do and what you can't do. I mean, there are so many nuances that you're going to need to know. But once you know them, it's almost like a turnkey solution to turn that passion really into an ATM, as you like to call it.
Now, one of the things that you just saw was a preview of some of what you're going to be seeing tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Some of the things that we are going to cover in our future video series here is good flying ideas, good techniques, ways to make yourself a really confident, comfortable, and assured pilot. After that, we're going to have a whole series that talks a lot about videography and cinematography and the differences between the two and how you can take going from stills to going through full motion video that really will blow the socks off of your audience, yourself, and potentially your clients. The last video in this series, the one that comes on day 4 of this series, we're going to talk all about a business, drones as a business. The number of possibilities would just boggle your mind. And the key right now is don't wait around, get ready and take action. And that's what our Drone U community is about. It's to support you through this progression, getting you to the point that you feel confident. You can go ahead and take your hobby, take your passion, and turn it into something that becomes a whole new career for you, and that's flying. So why are we doing this anyway? Well, number one, it's our passion. We love drones. We love flying. We love building a business around flying. We love teaching others and building a community of similar like-minded people. So that's why we're starting this series of 4 videos in the first place. We're going to take you through a whole progression that leads you to, by the 4th day, an incredible opportunity that we are confident many of you, and hopefully most of you, are going to say, I'd be an absolute fool not to take this next step with these people from the Drone U community. So that's why we're doing what we're doing right now.
And I have to say, Dave, one thing that my dad taught me when I was really young, he said, Paul, if you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
And I have to say, ever since I've been flying and profiting, I don't feel like I've been working. I almost feel like I'm kind of skating along, enjoying what I do and loving what I do and having the freedom to travel all the time and having the freedom to choose what I want to film and photograph. And frankly, it's amazing. It's a total different environment and change than what I'm used to. I mean, if you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, can I really do this? Can I really fly? Do I have the skill? Well, the thing is that we're gonna teach you everything that you need to learn in order to have that confidence to fly in any situation. And also, in this little 4 videos, you're gonna learn so much just in these videos that frankly, you're gonna wanna stick around. You know guys, I was a lot like you. When I first got my controller and opened up that box for the drone, Dave, it was like giddiness, literally so excited. But that excitement can also lead to problems and cost you a lot of money. But the thing is with Drone U is you can significantly lower that learning curve and also the costs that are involved with that. And it's just such an amazing feeling now every day. Again, like I said, I was just like you and that nervous and giddy and excited. But now every time I go out and fly, it's pure confidence. Not really arrogance, but I go out there knowing exactly what I need to get, exactly how to do it, and I enjoy flight the whole time. And you know what, Dave? I'm never really worried about what the FAA says in the media because I know the law and I know what's actually on the books.
Now, Paul's just mentioned the media. Think about that. All of us see stories in the news all the time. Pilots who are dumb, pilots who make clearly bad decisions. Things like flying on top of jets, landing at Love Field in Dallas, or all kinds of really stupid maneuvers. And just like I said, dumb pilots making dumb mistakes, we don't want that in this community. We want people who are smart, thoughtful, well-trained, follow the guidelines. Because you know what? I saw a statistic last year, Paul, that just made me, ugh. You know, the FAA said that there's going to be like, what, 7,700 drones by the year 2020 or some ridiculous number. It's like 7,000 new drones a month that are getting out there.
Well,
so the point is that right now, for those of you that choose to fly correctly, that choose to learn and practice the best possible skills, you are the ones that are going to have the best opportunities going forward.
Dave, you know, this is one of the few industries that you really only get one shot to do it right. Now, we do teach ethics and professionalism, which will help people in the long run, and it'll also help them save a few $1,000s on their insurance. But that being said, if you do have a catastrophic crash or you hurt someone, you're done in this industry. Because in aviation, if you have a huge crash, you're not going to get insured for 3 to 5 more years. So it really is important to do it right the first time. But it's also a huge opportunity for you because so many people have already dropped out of the drone market because they didn't do it right the first time. If you're like me and you were really excited to fly for the first time and you want to do it again and again and again, you're in the right place because we're going to teach you how to do it right. We're going to lower your learning curve and we're also going to help you save thousands of dollars. So why would you want to leave?
So on that theme, we're inviting you to tune back in tomorrow because we're going to spend more time talking about flying and really solid tips about making you a better pilot right away on the very next time that you pull your drone out and want to go flying. So on behalf of Drone U, we'll see you tomorrow.